Everybody wants a great travel deal. They want to know what the best plane deal is, what the best cruise deal is, what's the greatest place to go. How many times have you decided what vacation to go on because you had some friends that just got back from Croatia or from Portugal, etc.? Well, I know a guy who knows everything there is to know about travel. He's been to just about every place around the world, and some places twice. It's Erik, the travel guy Hastings. You can go to his website, ericthetravelguy.com. That's Erik with a K, and he knows everything about travel. Erik, good morning. Good to have you on.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, Ken.
It is great to have you on today. And first off, let's talk about that everybody wants the best deal. So what do people do to get the best travel deals?
I do think that that's one of the greatest marketing slogans out there. Why pay more? And here's the dirty little secret about that. The internet is a very big place. The world is a very big place. And the internet, of course, has brought us all together. And there's literally millions of places all vying for your vacation dollar. And while we do enjoy the benefits of that, we also suffer what I consider to be a little bit of travel research fatigue. How many times have you been online, Ken? You start going, you know what? I do want to go to Croatia. Let's go because my friends just went there. And you type in Croatia, and then, oh my gosh, 65 million pages come up. Where do you start? Where do you end? So yes, I think people ask me all the year, how do you get a good deal? And the bottom line is there is no magic bullet to a great deal. Now I know that sounds maybe a little troubling off the top, Ken, but there is a solution.
Yes.
Oh, do you want me to continue? I thought you were going to ask a follow-up question. What kind of show is this, Ken? This is ridiculous. All
Oh,
right, well,
all
I
right.
do have.
All right. So hear this. What is the solution?
Well, that's a great follow-up question. This is why I like doing this with my friends and friends, because if we're not going to have fun, let's not do it. No, seriously, one of the things that we've talked about over the years, and you and I have talked about this, because I really wanted to solve that question. I really wanted to help people and go, well, how do you get a great deal? And the fact of the matter is, when you understand the entire vacation ecosystem, you begin to understand that the savings actually come incrementally throughout the entire ecosystem, as opposed to, we're going to pay top dollar for this, or we're going to get an okay deal on this, but we're going to get this for absolutely free. No, that usually doesn't happen, because a lot of times, remember, if the deal sounds too good to be true, most of the time it is.
So the other big question too, you talk about understanding the vacation economy system and also when to go. So talk about the vacation. What is the vacation economy system? And then how do you choose the best time to go?
One of the things that I look at, it's very important to understand that every place in the world does in fact have a peak visitor system, a peak visitor season. They have a shoulder season, and they have a what I would consider value season or low season. Nobody wants to say that, but it's when the place maybe doesn't look as perfect as it does in peak season. So when you begin to understand, oh my gosh, Croatia has a peak visitor season. That's when the most number of people are there, and that's when the rates will be, well, as you can imagine, be the highest, right? So that's when you're going to pay the most, probably. Shoulder season are those times surrounding peak season. That's why they call it the shoulder season. And of course, the value season. And that can be by month, sometimes by week. And there are exceptions to that too. So when you start your vacation planning, you have to decide, okay, sometimes you have to go in peak season because of scheduling or because of flight availability or whatever the parameters are. But a lot of times I say, if you can go in shoulder season, you'll save money just by traveling in shoulder season. Maybe you don't want to travel in value season when maybe it's not. Think about going to Stowe, Vermont in the summertime.
Mhm.
All right, well,
Yeah.
that Stowe would probably say, well, summer, I mean, that's part of our peak season too. Yeah, Stowe, take it easy. You're a winter place. Everybody knows it. We love to ski. But let me tell you something. Going to Stowe, Vermont in the summertime is absolutely stunning, as I'm sure you have
Mm.
been. So that's an example of a place that's not their peak season, and you will save money by going there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And a lot of people, in fact, you're right. It in the spring and the summertime, still Vermont is green and lush. And, well, Vermont is green much of the year. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful state. And there are lots of things to do. If you're not into skiing, you can still find wonderful things to do in Vermont, hiking and beautiful restaurants. And for New Yorkers and New Jersey residents, it's a drive. You could drive it. You don't have to fly there. So that's another beautiful part about that. Also, you talk about respecting the travel day. So the day of the week that you travel can make a big difference in your airfare and things like that, right?
It's absolutely important to understand that when you have a travel day, now, first of all, you know, there's different schools of thought about airports. And it really does depend upon your particular airport. And I know, you know, Newark Airport right now and Newark Liberty International is kind of a sensitive topic at the moment because they've got some operational challenges that they will overcome. Believe me, they're not just going to shut down and say, well, you know what, you can drive. So they'll figure it out, give them some time. But there are a lot of people that say, oh, no, no, no. I only fly during this period of time or that period of time. And a lot of times, families like mine, we don't have a lot of flexibility. But I always tell people, look, if you can get on that 6 o'clock in the morning flight, take it. A lot of times, those early morning flights, they're terrible to have to get to. Nobody wants to get up at 3:30 in the morning, go to the airport. But the fact of the matter is, the chances of that flight leaving on time are pretty high because why? Like anything else, as the day progresses, the traffic it starts to increase. And it's not just the traffic in Newark. Remember, you've got all the inbound planes coming from Washington, from Boston, from Atlanta, and those planes start arriving and it gets a little bit busy. That's one of JFK's biggest problems is they've got the space down there that they can park planes for hours at a time. Of course, LaGuardia doesn't have that problem. That's a really
Mhm.
small airport. They got to move those planes in and out. So when you have your travel day, please use it as such. It is a travel day. Do not schedule important things on your travel day.
Yeah, really, really important. Don't say, you know what, I'll catch the 6 o'clock flight after working that morning, because chances are if you go out, you'll go out at 9:30 because of that. And it's just, and
Yeah,
then by the time you get into your destination, you're exhausted, you're late, you miss your connecting flight, the car, you go to rent a car, the car place is closed. There are a lot of issues that could happen. Very, very,
yeah,
very true.
and do
And by
and
the
you
way,
know
yeah.
do. I mean, that's the other thing. Think about it. Remember, a cruise is example. You know, one of the episodes of Beyond Your Backyard right now that we have out is in Alaska. It's an inside passage. It's a phenomenal episode. I loved shooting it. I have been many times. I call it Starter Alaska. It's one of the easiest ways to do Alaska because you fly into Seattle, you fly into Vancouver, you hop on the ship, and you're there for a week. That's what we call a closed loop itinerary where you go, so you depart and return from the same port of call. Right, very easy to understand. You're certainly seeing lots of wildlife, as you can see in some of the video that we're running. But I one of the things I remind people is, look, the cruise ship is not going to wait for you. They won't. They'll leave. So if you're leaving from Miami or you're leaving from Seattle, you always arrive the night before. Always.
Yeah, and you could relax, enjoy the hotel, have a nice dinner, a cocktail, and heck, you might fall in love with the community so much you'll come back just to be in that community. You'll come back just to be in Miami, or if you sail out of New York, you'll come back and spend a weekend in New York because you fell in love with that hotel. Who knows? But
Yeah.
that's definitely the way to go. I've learned the hard way from one time flying, we'll talk about New Orleans in another segment, but one time I was supposed to fly from Miami to New Orleans and I looked at the itinerary and I saw 9:32 and I said, "All right, we'll get to the airport at 8:32." This is like before 9/11. And
Sure.
get to the airport and they said, "Well, great. It was supposed to arrive at 9:32. It was taking off at 7. You're an hour and a half late." And that was Southwest. Thankfully, they said, "No problem. We'll put you on the next flight." They didn't charge me anything or anything. They were very nice. Not always going to be the case, though. So pay
No.
attention and get there the night before if possible. All right, Erik, the travel guy Hastings. That's Erik with a K, ericthetravelguy.com. Also, the host of his YouTube series. It used to be on PBS, and that is Beyond Your Backyard. You got about 2.5 million videos. I counted. I actually stayed up last night and counted. It's unbelievable. And before we let you go, tell everybody about your murder mystery dinner theater down in Orlando.
Well, it is just an extension of what I do. You know, when you come to Orlando to vacation, there are things to do outside of the theme parks. And we decided last year, why don't we create, my producing partner Gary and I said, let's create an interactive murder mystery show. We love the genre, we love crime and punishment, we love all that stuff. And so we said, let's do that. It's called The Speakeasy Murder and Other Acts of Prohibition. You're very kind to mention it. Thank you for that, Ken. That's very nice. Speakeasymurder.com. It'll run till the end of the year so far. So far.
Good deal. Well, I've been there. I had a great time. The food's good too, so check it out. Eric, the travel guy Hastings, thanks for being with us this morning.